Hi everybody, and welcome to the Ishanekon World Shaper stream. Let me just open. Alright, now I've got the chat open. Sorry, forgot to do that little thing. Oh, and forgot to mute the video. Isn't it going great right now? Yeah, sorry, I kinda got in a rush at the end. I was playing Remnant 2 from the Ashes, or Remnant 2. I think the second game is called Remnant 2. Really good game. Came out, I think, like 2-3 weeks ago. I loved the first game, Remnant 1. And yes, the new game is great. One of the greatest improvements, I think, is the world building. The worlds you're visiting are much richer, the stories are better. But yeah, enough about the reason why everything is so chaotic right now. It's time to start with the stream. The goal today is to do the first step of the creature creation process. I noticed that step is something I usually skip during the streams, but it is actually the most important one when designing a creature. And since I want to help as many people as possible to be able to make creatures so that maybe they could help me out, I'm going to do this and focus on the first step, figuring out what kind of abilities and features they learn at what level. By the way, I am willing to pay people for creatures. 15 euros for a normal creature, 20 euros for an elite creature, and 25 euros for a boss creature. If you help me out designing creatures for the website. We almost at 50. But I want a lot more. I mean, this is a rule set for any kind of setting. We will need hundreds of creatures to even remotely covering the basis of all the major settings, right? And I forgot to turn off the notifications again. As always, isn't it? That was, where is, here. Like I said, I didn't take enough time to build everything up. And now I'm paying the price. But great. That's taken care of. Oh yeah, what I wanted to add is, if you want to know more about how to create creatures, I made a stream last week where I really went into detail how to use the creature creation tool to create creatures and all the steps. With the exception of this one step, I didn't quite went into this one step. So here we are, ready to explain it. If you got any questions, feel free to write them down in the chat. Or if you just got feedback, ideas for new features, or just want to make a joke, say hi. Feel free to write it down in the chat or later in the comments if you're joining us. So, now, first of all, this little Excel sheet table I made quickly is a very helpful tool to help you visualize when the creatures get different features and abilities. First off, maybe I should start with the basics. The creatures shown in the creature search engine have are from level 0 to level 15. You can freely choose which level, which gives you a lot of flexibility as a GM to adjust the power level to exactly what you need. And I also really like that, because in other rule sets you often have a creature with a specific strength trait, but maybe you want a weaker version or you want a stronger version. Plus it makes it kind of difficult with summoning or transformations abilities. What if you want to be a very strong wolf, but a baseline wolf that your druid can transform into isn't really that strong, and it's only viable if you transform into a bear or something. I want to avoid that. So that's why they're levels 0 to 15 for all the creatures. To know what the creatures get when they level up, go to the core rules creatures, and here you have them split up into 4 different ranks. I did mention the ranks before, with the exception of minor. Currently, the creature engine cannot handle minor creatures, but it can handle normal, elite, and boss creatures. Normal is your default enemy. Elite is if you want like a strong leader in the group, or when you want to represent exceptional individuals. Elite creatures are almost as strong as player creatures, and boss creatures are designed to fight multiple players at once. But as you can see, they have these nice tables here, and there you can see when they learn what. A normal creature learns a creature challenge each time it reaches a new tier. A creature challenge, for context, can be either a greater talent, two lesser talents, or one path. Or with the exception that, first of all, you can only have one path per creature. And second of all, the creature can take one tier 5 sub-archetype feature if it already has the lower ones, unlike a player which cannot get those with greater talents. And a normal creature, depending if it's a fighter, caster, fighter, hybrid, or caster, learns a different amount of abilities. Every time it reaches a new tier. For fighter, it's always just one. For a caster, it's always two. For a hybrid, it's always two, and for a caster, it's 3. Normal creatures are relatively easy to design because technically you only have to think of 6. You only have to design 6 levels. The other ones are just empty level ups, especially with the automatization tools that I've developed. You don't even have to think about the stats and the skill points during those levels. Elite creatures are a bit more complicated, getting more creature talents, learning abilities at a different rate. And boss creatures get one creature talent at each level. That's also why I pay more money for boss and elite creatures, because it's harder to design them because of they have more features. But yeah, this table I designed, it shows you all the levels and all the tiers. If you have Excel, this is relatively easy to design. Just color them in. But quite frankly, just notes also helps if you for some reason don't have Excel, be it Microsoft Excel or open source Excel. Open Office Excel, yeah, that's what's the name. Here we already see a few. But here, for example, there's a boss creature which gets traits at every level. Or here's a normal creature where you can see it only gets traits whenever it reaches a new tier, marked with the yellow stripe. Well, let's make a new one. First of all, let's mark this as... yeah. I'm currently designing creature for the starting adventure. And here, let's copy in the features, the abilities, widen up so it has room. And then the first step, of course, when thinking about a creature is what kind of creature are you designing? In this case, we're designing creature for a starting adventure, and the creature we're going to design is Honor Bound Warrior Soul. The idea behind this is to make a samurai ghost, basically. You will have a ghost creature that fights with a sword, which has a spectral body. And yes, the second step, of course, after having the base concept of the creature, is thinking about how do I want this creature to fight? Is it even a fighter? What kind of abilities and skills does it have? How does it interact with the world? And for the honor-bound warrior, I think we could, of course, he's going to be mostly a melee weapon fighter, fighting with a sword, which I think I'm going to make into an unearthly blade that deals spirit damage. This ghost is not going to be like a cursed creature. You know, the classical undead soul that has unfinished business or was murdered in a horrible way and now comes back to haunt the living. The unbound warrior soul is more about somebody who's so dedicated that even in death he continues fighting. So we will focus on weapon skills and spirit damage. One thing, you have to think about the creature type. Of course, this is going to be a ghost. But one thing every creature type has is one lesser talent. So it's a good way to get some baseline flavor of a creature type, especially for the ghost. The lesser talent of the ghost allows him to move through solid objects, which is the easiest way for sorry, brain just stop working for a second. Yes, it's the easiest way for ghosts to get the ability to move to solid objects. Other creatures can get that too, but they usually need a greater talent. So I would suggest that we take the lesser talent bodiless ghost as a first feature. We're talking about here somebody who will have martial training, will be good with weapons. So one thing also to think about are the weapon lesser talent. Each form of weapon has a talent, not in the sense of sword of axe, but in the sense of one-handed, two-handed, dual wielding, shield and sword. And the idea here is that he will be wielding a katana with two hands and have a bow as a backup weapon. So we look for two-handed attacker, which allows us to reroll the damage dice if we are fighting with two-handed weapons, which, you know, two-handed katana and a bow are both two-handed weapons. For context, the other ones are one-handed precision, which gives you a boost to precision with one-handed weapons as long as you're not wielding a shield. Versatile grip, which allows you to deal additional damage with a one-handed weapon if you wield it with two hands. Then I think it was called Okay, let's start with multi-wielder. Multi-wielder is the one if you wield two or more weapons, which allows you to deal additional attacks that make additional attacks which deal half damage, but at the cost of precision. And then reactive shield for the classical sword and board style, which gives you one additional reaction point if you're wielding a shield. So with that, we have the two first features, bodiless ghost and two-handed attacker. And for the first ability, we want him to focus on spirit damage, so I'm going to take Spirit Strike. Spirit Strike is an ability which for each damage type there's a strike ability. If you look, strike, there we go. Chemical Strike, Cold Strike, Curse Strike, Heat Strike. They're a great way to give weapon attacker flavor for a specific damage type. If you look at the Spirit Strike, you deal additional spirit damage with the weapon, and if you hit, the enemy has to make a will defense roll, and if he failed, he's stunned. Many spirit damage abilities have the additional feature of stunning. Maybe this is also a good place to talk about some of the common abilities. That, for example, the bolt abilities, which is a default ranged damage ability where you have choice for all damage types. Another ability that goes in a similar direction are the projectile abilities. Projectile. Here we have one for also each damage type, but those have an extra effect and can be upcasted to target more than one target. So they are, have more of a control flavor, and each of the damage type has also a unique form of control. Cold Projectile, for example, makes the enemy freezing. This should not be written small. Wait, I'll just note that down so that I don't forget to change it later. Cold Projectile, freezing, uppercase. Yeah, sorry, lowercase. In German, it's called small and big, Kleinschreibung, Großschreibung. It's set up upper and lowercase. By the way, all the strike, bolt, and projectile abilities are tier 1 abilities. Another interesting one, if you need area of effect damage early on, are the eruption abilities. Here again, each damage time has its own, which are all slightly different. Some, like Poison Eruption, stays in the area for longer but deals less damage. Shock Eruption is like a chain lightning that jumps to the different targets. Or you have a Physical Eruption where you have an area where you only in that area you can target 4 creatures, but you can choose that, so it gives you more control. Where you can basically blast into your friends and not hit them. Shockwave is also an interesting one. That's the area of effect ability that deals damage around you. Yeah, okay, maybe going through all of them. Let's continue anyway. On higher tiers, you have the explosion abilities, which are your default, I just want to deal a lot of damage in a big area. This is great for like mid-level creatures that are more of a cast variations, or maybe carry some form of explosives with them. Also there, for the bolts and explosion, there are also options to deal 2 damage types at the same time, or 3 damage types in the same time, if you need that kind of flavor. The Wrath abilities are great for really high level creatures. They are usually of a very high tier, for example here Elemental Wrath tier 5. Wrath abilities can target any creature you want within 50 meters. They're really powerful. They're great capstone features for level 12 or level 15. Another great damage ability category are the assault abilities. These allow you to move 6 meters, and anybody next to you or anybody you move through gets damage. This is great if you have a creature that charges in a very destructive way, or that can fill itself with elemental energy, for example, becoming a fiery comet, just rushing into the enemies. I really like to give bigger creatures physical assault, representing them just rampaging through enemy lines, like a rhinoceros or something like that. Any other damage based? Of course, when it comes to status effects, there are many abilities that allow you to deal all status effects. So if you want a specific status effect, just look for it. But I also recommend looking for status effects themselves, because some don't have a specific status effect. For example, the Elemental Spark allows you to choose one of the 5 elemental status effects. So if you just look for freezing or burning, this would not show up. So it doesn't hurt to also look for the word status effect specifically. For weapons, there are many abilities called attacks, right? Just search for attack and you'll basically find most of them. Just arming attack, distracting attack, push attack, slowing attack, taunting attack, trip attack, bleed attack, blight attack. Most of them have an extra effect, great for weapon fighting. And if you need some area of effect in abilities for weapon fighters, we have Cleave for melee fighters, which allows you to hit multiple targets. Whirlwind attack, which hits everybody around you. On higher levels, maybe also Death Whirlwind, which allows you to move similar to the assault abilities, but instead of assault, being a damage ability, you attack with your weapon, being able to hit everybody around you. Also something to note, every damage type has its own abilities, which are completely unique. For example, here Blazing Whirlwind for heat damage, which allows you to summon a fiery vortex that you can move through the battlefield. Every damage type has its unique few damage abilities to really give it a flavor that it can revolve around. For range area of effect, you have... no, that's Barrage. Barrage. Oh, probably. Yeah, double R. Barrage. Projectile Barrage, which gives you a cube where you can deal range damage, or Split Barrage, which allows you to target multiple enemies, like, for example, firing multiple arrows at once into different directions. There are also more options, but if you're looking for something, I suggest filter by the combat role you want the creature to take, depending on the complexity. Maybe filter by tier, if you want to keep it simpler. But there are some unique abilities which allow you to really fulfill the fantasy of specific creatures or weird abilities. For example, Swallow, which allows you to swallow a smaller creature. Or what kind of... Let's go with tier 4 there. Yeah, abilities which allow you to copy abilities from others. Yeah. Astral Arts, gaining additional arts for a while. There are a lot of cool stuff. So, to be fair, I would suggest, before you start designing creatures, just take a casual stroll through the abilities. Maybe start with the core ones, or lower complexity ones. But just take a look. But yes, I think that's enough about the basics of abilities. Back to our Honor-Bound Warrior Soul. Since the Honor-Bound Warrior Soul is a weapon attacker, you pretty much have to take Path of Attack at level 2. Path of Attack allows you to either make more attacks, or allows the attacks that you can make... Sorry about that, John. Or allows the attacks that you make to deal more damage, which is essential if you want a weapon dealer to keep up with casters. An alternative is Path of Maneuver, but that is more specific. It boosts the maneuvers that you can use with weapon attacks so that they can keep up with damage abilities or Path of Attack. But that's more complicated, and I usually don't suggest it for creatures, specifically for the search engine. But it's a great option for player characters that want the more advanced weapon style option. Of course, Path of Attack gives you a lesser talent, so we have to think about what we give them. I like the idea of making our Honor-Bound Warrior Soul into a crit build with the over-aim feature. Over-aim is a greater talent that allows you to get a crit with attacks if you roll 10 above the evasion of your target. It's a great way to get a lot out of your precision, because usually at some point your precision is so high that it doesn't really matter if you increase it more, but over-aim allows you to deal that excess precision into extra damage in form of critical hits. Of course, that's a greater talent. Let's add it here for over-aim. But of course, if we want to be precise, we need something to boost our precision. So I'm going with precise. Okay, wait, let me. Lesser talent. Yeah. Precise. Increases your attacks rolled by 1. So that's a nice little boost that we can give him as a lesser talent. When you're designing creature, you can either design the abilities first, the features first, or work in parallel. That's up to you. But I think I will continue focusing on the features for now. To make him really precise, let's give him the greater trait, great precision, which is basically just the boosted version of precise, which gives you 2 to your hit damage. Of course, since we're talking about a samurai style character, I think the talent, the greater talent Sword Master would be great. For context, each weapon has a greater talent, which gives it a unique ability. For example, sword, for Sword Master, allows you, if you miss with a one-handed or two-handed sword or a rapier, you can immediately make an additional weapon attack. If you don't want to look what kind of weapon has what talent, just put in the name of the weapon and you will find it. Sword Master combines really well with somebody who has quick weapon attacks, because if you miss with a normal damage weapon, or better said, the more you attack, the higher the chance that you miss. And oh, wait a second, I just realized this doesn't combine too well with precise, since precise already allows us to not miss often. But it's still going to give him, because we don't have to min-max creatures. I still like the flavor, and this gives us a backup, because we will find player characters which have a lot of evasion, and for those this is a great backup plan. So that a few times we miss, we kind of still don't miss. So I'm going to give him Sword Master. Since we're going down the route of attacking often, I think it's a capstone. I'll give him the swashbuckler abilities. By the way, sub-archetypes have a lot of great features, as you can give creatures sub-archetype features. So it's great to just take a look, maybe filter by the roles that you need, and see what could fit. The sub-archetypes are usually a way that are great to give your creature a specific flavor. And for example, the swashbuckler, which allows us to create momentum charges each time we attack, and with that we can make additional attacks. So we can attack a ton of times. So we're gonna take the first feature of the swashbuckler as our capstone feature. So let's continue. I think it's good to give our Honor-Bound Warrior something to handle hordes of enemies. After all, you all know the image of the samurai is just holding the position, fighting against a lot of weaker enemies. So I will give him the ability Cleave. And for over aim, a good combo is the precise attack. Or was it precision attack? Something like that. In the notes, you don't have to write it down perfectly, right? Usually, you know what to look for. But what comes next? That's a question. Let's see. What does the Unbound Warrior have? I think something that fits with the flavor is the ability to keep on fighting even if you're damaged. So I'm going to give the Unbound Warrior the Resist ability, which allows him to reduce incoming damage. I think that fits very well with the flavor we're going for. Resist. There we go. What else could we give him? If you don't know what to give a creature, my suggestion, just go to the search engine or the ability search engine and see, okay, we want a melee user. Yeah. Let's keep it like that and just filter and take a look. Armor Peter is maybe something. Disarming attack, disarming counter. Ooh, counter, of course. Counter is great. Counter allows you to attack a target if they miss you. And I think it fits with the flavor of countering attack, parrying it, and striking it with your sword. So we will give him counter. And see, this is how, by just looking at the abilities, you sometimes have some that just stick out, and it's a great way to fill in the holes that you're looking for. I'm just thinking about shed armor. This could be kind of cool. Like the Unbound Warrior taking off his armor to focus on offense. I will look at other abilities. Maybe we can find something. Ooh, of course. Blitzstaff Offensive. We're talking about a samurai character, so it only makes sense to give him the most enemy ability of all when he reaches level 15. Blitzstep Offensive allows you to make a weapon attack against every target of your choice within 10 meters. And you basically can move between them quickly. So it's the idea of moving so fast between the targets, hitting one after the other, tack, 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 and then appearing somewhere. Wait a second, let me return. Maybe I should specify that you can ignore the range of the normal weapon with the ability. I will do that later. So, Blitzstep Offensive is our last ability. And with that, we have the baseline for a normal creature. Any of you watching want to see me design another creature? Something specific? Otherwise, I do have one creature idea. Let me just write down that I need to clarify the Blitzstaff Offensive text. Fine, okay. So good that I can do that later. So, if you got any suggestions what to build, now is your chance. In the meantime, let me prepare the rest. I'll give you a bit more time to think about it, taking a sip. Alright, I guess nothing is coming. So, I shall go with a boss creature this time. How do I call it? It's a demon. A demon. But I need a specific name for it. I mean, okay, I can think about the name later. The idea behind this demon is he's a creature of darkness, zapping away your energy, but being a very dangerous physical foe. And since it is going to be a boss creature, we will need a lot more features and abilities. If we take a look, creatures, yeah. Boss creatures get 1 creature talent each level. So unlike the normal creature where we basically only have to design 6 levels, for the boss creature, we have to design 15 levels. Almost more than double the amount. And when it comes to abilities, it either learns 1 ability every 2nd level if it's a fighter creature, an ability every level if it's a hybrid creature, an ability every 2nd level if it's a hybrid creature. I mean, cast creature. I'm getting a little bit tired. I think the demon is supposed to be casting a lot of demonic magic, but still be a physical threat, so going with hybrid is a good idea. So 1 ability each level. So let's take a look at the archetypes, because there are some nice archetypes that could maybe help us. One thing I'm thinking about is the Paragon. I know, sounds weird, but the Paragon can also have a negative aura which weakens enemies instead of a positive aura that strengthens allies. So that could be a good fit. Ooh, Retaliator might also be something nice if he's more bloodthirsty. But no, the creature I want to design is not that brutish. He's more supposed to be a cunning demon, but powerful nonetheless. Demoralizer is also something that could work. Demoralizer weakens the enemies either by attacking them or being attacked. Really like the name of their tier 2 features. Is that all you got? Basically, you tank the hit so well that it demoralizes you when you attack them. And opens you up for counter attacks. Of course, Tormentor is also a good option, which allows you to grant your enemies disadvantage on all sorts of rolls. I do seem to be a bit more tired than I was hoping to be. Come on, fight through it. Here I don't see a code option. Barrier mass. Demolition. Ooh, whirlwind maybe. Nah, it's too weapon focused. I want more of a hybrid build. No, there's nothing. Leecher might be something. But no, I want him to be more demoralizing and less life draining. Alchemist. Robert Soul Fortune? No. Breaker might be an option, giving you status effect and just taking advantage of that. Of course, Blood Drinker might also be a nice option. Him healing himself when he attacks you. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm noticing I'm very tired. I didn't sleep too much today. And I see my focus waning. And this is more of a creative part, which needs some brain power. And since I the image of what I want with the demon isn't as clear as with the honor-bound soldier, and we have a lot more features and abilities. I don't think I have the endurance to push through today. It is rather late here in Germany after all. So I think I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you everybody who joined. Hope you can learn something. If you have any questions, you can ask me, DM me on Twitter or X as it's called now. Or join the Discord server. You can find the link to it on the homepage. Just scroll down, there it is. Or yes, right, we're on YouTube. Write comments down in the description. I mean, not to just... You see how tired I am? I'm just throwing random stuff around. What I mean, comment down your questions down below. I mean, that's the most obvious thing if you have questions. Sorry about that. Still gotta get used to the whole YouTuber stick, right? It's weird to say, but technically I am a YouTuber. I'm not very successful. But I mean, you gotta start somewhere, right? And I have my fun with this, so we'll see what happens with it. Thank you everybody who joined or is going to join in the future. And until then, see you everybody.